our local leaders and precinct chairs training. So again, how to organize geographically with the people that are around you. So let's get started. Today's goals. We're going to first talk like when you're done with this course, you're going to know what the role of a local organizer is. You will learn and you'll know then those resources that you have available to you right now at your fingertips, ready for you to use right now. We're going to get you started so then you can really be an advocate and advocate for your community. And then get ready so you can make this a team effort. So your effort is very important, but you can multiply and make that effort so much greater by bringing others along to help you. So first, if you are waiting for permission from a campaign or maybe the party, if you're waiting for somebody to tell you or ask you to take action, maybe just know that you have permission right now. So congratulations. You have permission right now to start organizing locally, organizing the people around you because you care. And because you are an organizing person now, boom, you have the job. We've bestowed upon you that job to one, get to know your area, talk with the people that are around you, and then use that knowledge and share that knowledge with others. So congratulations. Let's get started. First, what is a local leader? Who is a local leader? So we're defining a local leader as a person who cares deeply about their community and has that potential then to influence people in their community. So this could be using a party structure, using like a precinct chair. Some places they're called borough chairs. Some people call them precinct captains. There's different words for it, but and then that could either be an elected position or it could be maybe you were appointed. You can be a block captain, or you can be a community organizer. I like to think of myself as a community organizer. Maybe you're a civic leader, business leader, maybe you're a leader in your church. You can be a party leader, maybe volunteer leader, all these kind of different leaders. These are all what we consider to be under that umbrella of local leader. So let's get to know each other a little bit. So what type of local leader are you? Or do you aspire to be? So like I said, I consider myself to be a community organizer because that is what I do with both my hats, with grassroots, and then for campaigns, I do what they call field, which means that I'm going out and I'm talking with people, talking directly with people. So I feel like those are my both those campaign and grassroots. I'm a community organizer. How about anybody else? We got anybody else typing into chat saying what type of local leader they either are or aspire to be?
We have a district chair, the president of the Dem Club, and grassroots volunteer.
Wow.
The chair of the Democratic Party, county vice chair. So looking at some
Awesome.
elected positions there. Yeah. Committee
Yes.
chair.
Perfect.
Another chair, a lot of chair, volunteer and canvas leader. We love our canvas leaders. Yay. A library trustee, equity chair, community organizer.
I love
Planning
it.
to run for township supervisor. So we have some people running for some offices too. Yeah.
Great.
Municipal chair.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks for filling those into the chat, guys.
Yeah, well, I love to see the breadth of who is in this room, either what you're currently doing or what you aspire to be. So yeah, there's a lot of great both people that are doing the work and then potential in this room. And keep in mind, this training is both for could be both for yourself, or it could also be if you want others, if you're more of a district chair and you want your precinct chairs to have training, that this is also a train the trainer session at the same time. All right, so what do local leaders offer? Well, first of all, is that passion, right? The passion to show up on leap day in 2024 into a room at 8 o'clock night on a Thursday, right? That's passion. You all are demonstrating that you have that passion. So that is something that you can offer back into your community, is this passion to show up. You got connections. You either know people or you know people that know people, right? So you have those personal connections. Knowledge, this is your town, this is your community, this is your area, so you know it, or you can gain that knowledge. I'm new to town. I've just been in South Bend for 2.5 years, but man, have I gotten a boot camp, real quick study. We'll show you the different ways that, different tools that help you to be able to get to know your area very quickly. And then you also, you can offer that base of support. So creating that base of support that will help either the party or candidates or vice versa. And then also the relational organizing, using those connections, being that conduit down from campaigns to the party down to the ground, and then that ground back up into the party. So using those good relational organizing skills and tools to be able to talk with the people that you already know. So let's talk about the different organizing basics. So cover the basics first of just kind of laying the land of political organizing. First of all, the role of grassroots. So grassroots and local leaders are part of that grassroots, which means that you are where the rubber meets the road, right? Local leaders are on the ground. They're where that rubber meets the road, just like grassroots, that's why they call it grassroots. It's on the ground, spread out. It grows from the ground up. Whereas campaigns, by nature, campaigns are going to be top down, right? The campaign has one person's name at the top on the yard sign, right? One person's name. So by nature, they are going to be from that one person down. It's going to be a top-down organization. So we need both, right? Campaigns are going to be working top down. Therefore, we need those local leaders in the grassroots that are then organizing from the ground up. So we need both of those at the same time. There's also phases of the campaign. So campaigns, getting the elected leaders in there that will write the policies that are going to make, government work and work for the people in your community. Right, the basis of all that work comes in from campaigns. So the different cycles of campaigns is the ongoing, is that organization building up those relationships, building up that knowledge base, that research about what is important, what needs to be improved. That is all that organization building that is kind of ongoing. And then you get towards campaign season, and then you start thinking about what we call DVC, direct voter contact. So you start thinking about that. There's a short little window of time then where you got campaigns that are reaching out directly to voters. And then you got that really short window of get out the vote, where then get out the vote is when you are making sure that people actually show up to vote, or if you're in a mail-in ballot state, they actually return their ballots, right? So those are the different phases. Grassroots plays a role in all of them, but it particularly takes that role most obviously in that organization, that ongoing work. And then there's 3 parallel lanes to organizing politically. There's the party. The Democratic Party is in one swim lane, and they are working year round. They typically will have longer term goals. But as an organization, they tend to be more rigid. There's rules about parties and how parties can conduct themselves. There's also a lot at stake, right? For party people. So they tend to be more rigid, and they focus a lot of their time on raising money, because it takes money to run and be able to offer support to campaigns. Then there's campaigns. Campaigns are short-term, obviously. They have short-term goals. Most campaigns will only run 3 to 9 months. Some are longer, depending if it's a higher federal race. But usually when you think of campaigns, they're really short. And they tend to be very rigid because there are rules. There are very strict rules about how campaigns can be run. And then they're always looking then both to raise money, because you need money in order to pay for staff and pay for, their materials and all that good stuff. But then they're also looking for those people. They want to be making that connection down to the ground. And then grassroots. Grassroots it runs all the time, right? You don't stop caring about losing your abortion rights because the election deadline just passed, right? Nobody care about this stuff all of the time. All the goals, right? So whatever is concerned to us, we don't, we in long and short-term goals, it's everything. We also get to play fast and loose, right? There are no rules. There are no restrictions, so grassroots is kind of fun. And then we're engaged in getting out the people, right? Bringing people out to vote. And if you're a precinct chair, if you're precinct chair for the party, you get to kind of be in that fun space. You're both part of the party, but you also get to be fast and loose grassroots style. So you get to kind of put a foot in each of those. But it's good to know what these different lanes are. And then which lane are you in? Are you in the party? Are you in a campaign? Are you in grassroots? Maybe you got a foot in both. Maybe you're a crazy person like me and you put a foot in all three. All right. And then also when you're organizing, a big part of organizing is to be building on the relationships that you already have. So again, this is called relational organizing. You're building on the relationships you already have. And David Pepper has a book out called Saving Democracy, a user's manual for every American. Highly recommend it. Gets you right into taking action. And he likes to talk about your footprint. So imagine your community and where are your footprints across your community? Like if you could, be looking down from above, where are your footprints across your community? That's where the different relationships are. So if you can think about your community, think about where are those footprints for yourself, right? So it could be, amongst your family and friends. If you just think about your day, maybe you get up in the morning, you drop your kids off at school, right? You go to your favorite coffee shop to get some coffee. You go to work, maybe you stop by the library, maybe you stop by, you're checking Facebook. You're taking your dog for a walk through your neighborhood, right? Where are those footprints and where are those people that are part of that? So we don't need to share, but it is something just for you to be thinking about. And be thinking where are those people that I already have that connection to. I know here locally, David Pepper's book helped one of our super volunteers here realize that her footprint, being a retired teacher, was in the schools. And so she had a lot of connections. She knew a lot of the people in administrators and stuff in the schools. So she realized, oh, the schools are my footprint, right? So if you can think for yourself, where do you already have those community connections? That is a great place to start. All right. So now we're going to talk about organizing geographically, or in this case, organizing then by your precinct. So why should we organize by a precinct? Why should we think about that? And what is a precinct? So a precinct is, I like to think of it as the smallest Lego brick in the political bucket, right? So it is the smallest brick, and then all the other districts are formed with those Lego bricks. So it's also, our elections are usually run through those. Even if you have vote centers, the election results, everything still comes through at that smallest little Lego brick size. So here on the screen, I show my precinct. Does anybody here know their precinct number? Anybody, or how your precinct is labeled? So my precinct is on the screen. I get to cheat. So my precinct is 130106. I even know how they come up with that. So 13 means that it's in the city of South Bend. 01 means that I'm in the 1st district, and 06 is my precinct number. So different numbering systems for different places. Other counties in Indiana, I see some that are just names, words as opposed to letters. Everywhere is a little different. But like I said, this is my smallest little Lego brick. And then once I know my precinct, then I can look up and I can see, well, which city council does my precinct fall into? In this case, it's the 1st. What county council, right? What county council district is my little Lego brick in, right? State representative, all the way up to the US House. Where does my little thing fit into to the US House, into those things? So again, organizing by precinct it's that smallest little Lego brick. Is also a piece that is least likely to change. There's a lot of gerrymandering in our state. A lot of times those precincts, those districts will change. Precincts lines will change, but they'll change kind of the least. So again, those election results are compiled by that smallest little Lego brick. And then it's also then campaigns, and then usually parties will do their organizing at that precinct level. Also, why you want to organize by precinct is, this is your home. You get to put your blinders on, right? There's a lot of issues out there, right? You turn on the cable news, it's an outrage machine, just, there's a lot of issues out there. But when you are thinking about your precinct, you get to put those blinders on. You get to just say, what is important here for people in my community? And then you get to make that connection both ways, right? I call it a conduit. You get to make that connection. You get to make a connection for the people in your precinct to say, make a connection to a campaign or cause that will help the people in the community with an issue that they have. And it goes the other way. Then those campaigns can know about the issues that matter in your community. So, there are a lot of problems going on in the world. But, like here in my community, there's a very dangerous road in my community, right? So, my senator isn't going to care about it. Joe Biden isn't gonna, specifically care about my road, but my city council person will, right? He's the one that can actually do something about it. And then I can make that connection down, right? I can make it a connection to people in this community saying, I call it that all important words is, and that is why, right? So we say, I hear you about this road, and that is why I think that we should support Councilman Lee, because he's the one that is, is the one that said that he's going to put the speed bumps in, right? Or it could be even higher than that. You can be like, and that is why I support Joe Biden, because he supports a Vision Zero, investment that will reduce the number of fatalities, right? So you can make those connections from something really local into those campaigns. It's something that only a community leader can do. All right, let's go into the toolbox. So now we've talked about why, what the role is and why we want to be looking at it at that local level. But you want to get out there, if you want to get working, what is in your toolbox right now that will allow you to get to know your local area, and then be able to advocate for it. So first, knowledge is power. So that local knowledge that you have is a power, both going both ways. I've talked about it being you as a local leader being that conduit. It goes both ways. That knowledge, that local knowledge, is then something that you can then share to the campaign. So make sure that candidate is addressing, or that elected official is addressing the needs of your community. And then going the other way, if there is an elected official who is addressing the needs of your community, make sure that the people on the ground know about it, right? So that is that's the knowledge that you can bring. So you want to be that point person. So to be that point person, First of all, knowing what those geographical boundaries are, knowing the election results, lists of who those elected officials are, right? If you're going to be a conduit between them, who are they? Maybe your current elected official is a Trumpy on the other side. Who are the challengers? Who are those amazing people that are stepping up and have either challenged in the past or could challenge again? The who's who of people in your area. So who are the business leaders? Who are the donors? The demographics, and then the important issues. We're going to go through one at a time, showing you that you have at your fingertips right now the ability to go get all of this information for free. So first of all, using your public records. So first, public records for those, knowing what your precinct's boundaries are. Public record, those are your voter maps. So voter maps, various levels of government will be in different places. So your either your county's website, maybe a city website, depending on how your where your election office is. They will have available, or they should have available to you, the maps, the voter maps. So I'm in Indiana. If my county in Indiana has it, I'm thinking a lot of other counties, maybe not everybody, but there's going to be a lot of other counties that probably do offer it rather easily on their website. If you're in doubt, if you can't find it, your library is always a great source. Your trusty librarians can help you find that information for your county. At the state level, your Secretary of State's office is usually the one that will be overseeing the elections, and then they will also be holding the record for what those voter maps are for your state level offices, and then federal offices as well. So where are the lines for your for the U.S. House? So again, when in doubt, go to the library. But yeah, these should be available for you. If you're a nerd like me, you're gonna love the voter maps once you can start digging into them. Public records also for those election results. How did the people in your precinct vote? Right? So if so again, all elections are local, which means all elections are run at the precinct level. It means there is data out there for how your precinct voted, right? So again, you can go to your clerk or whoever is holds the voter records, does the elections locally, and ask for a vote of the official results by precinct. So you might be lucky, your county clerk might offer these up shortly after the election. They usually post them. And if you look for the ones by precinct, if you don't see it, go to your county clerk. Like I said, they have the data for this. This is public record. This is something that you are allowed to get. Usually, or in my case here in Indiana, they give the results as a PDF, which isn't the easiest thing in the world to work on. So I love myself a spreadsheet. So I enter that information then into a database that, make my own little spreadsheet database that we can then use. You don't need to go to that level, but if you do, I will say it is pretty darn handy to be able to have a database of the voting results by precinct. So yeah, it's really you can find out exactly how did your precinct vote. Next, knowing that political landscape, being that expert, the subject matter expert for your precinct, and really understanding what is the political landscape there. So we have a whole course on Civics for Change teaches you about how to understand the civics locally. So highly recommend if you have not taken that course, if you're interested in it, for taking your Civics for Change course. But the workbook itself has this list of making that list of who are your policymakers, all the way from who's your senator, all the way down to school board and the local stuff. So understanding who those people are. And then the National Democratic Training Committee. So that is the Democratic Party's training arm. So they offer free training. It's excellent training. It tends to be for people that are working on campaigns or are party leaders. But yeah, I highly recommend many other courses, but they also have great things like this district profile template that I think you can find over in our team resources page on our website. But this, taking the time to look all this up, look up, both who the candidates are, the breakdown, those past results that we've already looked up, where are the lines that we've already talked about. So putting together that profile so you can really understand your district. I don't know if anybody remembers back in the day, I'm going to date myself a bit here, but Colbert Report. So Stephen Colbert used to have a show on Comedy Central that followed the Daily Show called the Colbert Report. And one of the things one of the segments that he did was better know a district. And he would go to the different US House districts across the US and do a little profile of them. So whenever I think about doing a profile for my precinct, I think you better know your precinct. So get to know your precinct. Public records also that are out there are for donors. Who are the donors locally in your area? So this is public information. If they ran for federal office, that's through the FEC, and then that's all donations. If they ran a local campaign, then you're going to see the slightly bigger donors who would usually not list every $5, but it could. But this is public record. Who donated campaigns? This is transparent. This is public records, right? So say what you will about campaign financing in the state of campaign financing in the US. You can talk about that for a long time. But one good thing about it is there is transparency. So campaigns need to file each quarter who their donors were, and then that is public information. So you can, like here in the state of Indiana, we go to our Secretary of State's office. So, different states might be different, but you can go and you can see who these were. Again, federal offices, that's going to FEC. FEC is quite a powerful database that you can search for. And you can see, they have both businesses and associations and groups and stuff that donated. You can see, so if there is a large employer in your area, you can look up to see how they donated and who did they donate to. If there's different, groups, different PACs, different stuff like that, where did they donate? And then also people, individuals, right? Who voted, who donated. You might have in your neighborhood, people who have donated to campaigns. Those would be great people to get to know, is people that have contributed to candidates, Democratic candidates. So again, this is information ready for you to discover at your fingertips for free. Census data, good old census data. So the most recent, census, all that information is available at, online. So just go to the census and it usually gets down to the city level, depending on where you are, see how granular, how you can get and how close to the area you can get. But this gives you an idea of your area, is how many, not just how many people are in it, but is it growing? Are you adding population? Is it getting smaller? It's the employment rate in your area, right? A lot of times we always hear on the news what the employment rate is nationally, but what's it for your particular area? So yeah, you can really get into then, the demographics and the different stuff in your area. So again, better know your district, better know your precinct. The census is a good way to do it. I will also say looking up data, looking up this stuff, you might feel like data tells you, right? So, it's this like so it's an objective way of getting to know your precinct beyond what you already, organically get to know. Couple more free resources that are out there that may be available for your area. They don't all, both of these don't cover everywhere, but if they do cover your area, they're pretty darn cool. So the New York Times has a map from the 2020 election. So we're in the 2024 election. So even though there was other elections since the 2020 election, you want to be looking at the 2020 election because that's going to be the most similar in terms of turnout as this current election. So look, do some deep dives into 2020. New York Times has this cool map out there. They both show the 2020 results and the change from 2016. So you can zoom in. Doesn't have everywhere, like they don't have Indiana for whatever reason, but you can zoom in and you can see how that changed in your area. And then there's also a website called Dave's Redistricting. So offers really good information, both demographic information and then that political information. So it kind of does some of that research stuff for you and really helps you get to know your area and how electorally it may have changed. All right, so now we're turning on to taking all of that information, taking all of that can do, know-how, and then using it, putting it to use so you can then advocate for your community. So best way that you can advocate for your community is to be that ear to the ground. So as we like to say here at Building Bridges, politics is not theoretical. Politics walks into our lives every day. It walks across your living room. It walks into our bodies, as women really understand how politics can walk into our bodies. It walks into our pocketbooks, right? It's very real. It's not a theoretical thing. So we want to talk about politics in the way that it does really enter into our lives. So what are those things that the people in your community are talking about? What are the things that keep them up at night? What are the things that they're concerned about? What are the things that they care about? And those things are really important, right? They're really important to your community. Yes, there's big global issues going on. Yes, there's big, much bigger, large complex issues going on, but just as important is what's going on in your community. So I'm just thinking about my community. When I think about, when I'm talking to people, what are they saying? Number one, we're in Indiana. Schools are way underfunded. Our public schools are terribly underfunded. In our area in particular, we're dealing with rising property taxes. Our county was taken over by Republicans and boom, wouldn't you know it, immediately our property taxes went through the roof. What a shock. The local grocery store closed down, and that's a point of concern. It makes us worry. One, it's harder to get access to stuff, but it also makes us worry about the economic health of our area. And then just, one of the main things you'll hear people talk about is infrastructure, potholes, speeding cars, stuff like that. That stuff matters. That's safety, right? These are safety concerns. They're real concerns. So really understanding what that is that people are concerned about. And then again, being that conduit then. So you understanding those concerns and then connecting them to your elected officials, connecting them to campaigns, right? So I talked with a bunch of my neighbors. We all think that road, or that a road that goes through our neighborhood is very dangerous, right? So as a community leader, I would reach out to my councilman and say, dear Councilman Lee, I'm a local organizer. I got a bunch of my neighbors together and we all said, yes, Sherman Road is dangerous. We need to have those speed bumps. We see those speed bumps around the rest of the city. We want them here. Right here. We're going to have a community meeting. Would you like to come meet? We'd love if you would come to our community meeting, see the road and see what we're talking about. All right. So as a community leader, I'm making that outreach. I'm hearing what people are saying and I am reaching out to my elected officials. Let's say that Councilman Lee was running for office. I'd be reaching out to him as a candidate saying, hey, we are voters. in your area. This is something we are concerned at. Why don't you come out and talk to us? Right. And then it goes the other way as well. So then connecting campaigns to those concerns. Let's say that Councilman Lee showed up, he heard our concerns, and he put in those speed bumps on that road. Right. Now we need to be helping people when it comes around to election time that they can be making that connection. It's like, hey, I hear you and I agree that that road is dangerous, but Councilman Lee came to our neighborhood meeting. He saw that road, and now he's prioritized putting those speed bumps onto that list of roads that are going to get speed bumps. He moved ours to the top, right? So he deserves our vote, to come back, to continue to service. So again, making that connection going both ways. So that's how you can advocate for your community, both empower your community, and then also help them to make sense of politics and to make good decisions that are going to help out their campaign. I mean, help out their community. Also, when you are talking with people, part of relational organizing is being organized. So when you are talking with somebody and they mention your concerns, write it down, right? You don't need to keep everything in your head, right? We're all busy. We all got busy lives. You don't need to be walking around actively needing to remember what your neighbor said, right? Write it down. Just give yourself that peace of mind to write it down. When someone, let's say you're talking to somebody and they say, oh yeah, I am all in. I'm going to, I'm definitely supporting Joe Biden. I'm gonna pull a straight ticket ballot. I'm all in. If you hear that, write it down. Say like, oh my gosh, this person, they are pulling a straight ticket ballot, right? If somebody is still trying to decide, they don't know which way they're gonna vote. Again, write that down. This is all data. This is exactly what campaigns do. This is what they, unfortunately, what they have to spend money to do is to go out and talk directly with people and find out, are they going to support us? Are they still deciding, right? That's data that campaigns, like I said, will spend money to do. You did it for them. If you did that work for them, you now have power. You now have that data. That data is now your political power. You can bring that to a campaign, right? So you can bring that to, if you're trying to reelect Councilman Lee and he came through for you, you can say, you know what? Well, here's that list of 18 people who are on your side. That's data that you can bring to that campaign. Now he doesn't have to, it's going to save him money. It's going to go, like I said, campaigns are run on data. You're going to make it that much easier for him to campaign. So again, keep that notes, write it down, and write it down however is, works for you. You can have a notebook, with it. You can, if you're a nerd like me, you can have a spreadsheet, so however works for you, write it down and just keep track of all of those people, so then you can then share it with campaigns that then aligned to the values and what's important to your community. All right, so we've been talking about relational organizing, which is like talking with people you already know. But a lot of the times when you think about going out and talking to voters, you're actually, a lot of times you're being asked, or you want to be going beyond people you know, and to be talking to essentially to strangers, right? So how do you go beyond that? First of all, question, let's test the knowledge of people in this room. How many times does a voter need to be contacted to be persuaded to vote? So if they weren't going to vote on their own, they're like an infrequent voter, or they're what we call those persuadable voters. How many times does a voter need to be contacted to be persuaded to vote? Go ahead.
We're getting a ton of sevens. 1, 4 to 6. Yep. 5, a 10. Yes. 11, 6. I haven't heard the magic number yet. We're getting
it's
there,
like
right?
Price is right now. It's like you're getting
some
close,
3s. Yeah. 20 times. Shane, you are ambitious. Yes.
Well, 20 times will definitely do it. I would hope that would do it. All right. Statistically, the number is 9. 9 times. So a lot of you are on it. You understand it's not a one-time thing, right? Unfortunately, that's why campaigning is hard because it's not a one-time thing. You have to hit people, in many, many different ways. So you, as a local leader, you can be one of these people. You can actually be kind of one of the more influential people because, you're not a campaign, you're a neighbor. So you can be very influential when you reach out. So a way to get information about who is registered to vote in your area, that's called the voter files. So again, going back to the clerk, you see how important those local elections are for voting for your city clerk and your county clerk. Very important because they play this really essential role being able to provide this information to the public. So again, the clerk, and depending on again where the voting office is for your area, often it is in the county clerk, maybe a city clerk. So keeping that, they keep the voter file. The voter file is a list of all of the registered voters. It also contains some information about them. So in addition to their name and it does have their age. So in addition to that, it will have their address, their phone number, the phone number that they provided when they registered to vote. It will also have their vote history, not how they voted, right? We still have secret ballots. You still go behind the curtain, even if you don't physically go behind a curtain anymore. It's still secret who you voted for. But if you voted, that is public record. That will show up in the publicly available voter file. Also, party affiliation may show if your state allows for that. You may be a very sad political organizer like we are here in Indiana. People aren't allowed to register for a party, so we don't know who the Democrats are. But if you're able to register a party, that can make life a lot easier. So this is kind of sensitive information, obviously, then. So they don't just, it's not just available on a website out there, but I will say, if you have filed to run for any kind of office, or if you filed, like I filed to be a state convention delegate, well, technically I filed for office. Technically, I'm going to be on the ballot. Or if you filed to run for a precinct chair, anything like that, where you filed to run for office, you can then have access to the voter files for whatever area that you're running for. So again, they can just hand you a list. I've heard different stories from different people. Some people go and they just ask their county clerk. They say, "Hey, I'm running for this. I'm running to be a delegate for the Democratic convention. Can I get a list of Democratic voters, in my county?" And boom, they hand them over. Right. So it depends on your clerk and but it is like I said, those voter files, it is public information, but since it is sensitive, they may limit it to people who are running for office. Sometimes I've heard people just ask for it and they'll just get it and say, "Hey, I live in this precinct. Can I get a list of Democrats in my precinct?" And they just hand it over. So never know until you ask. There's another way though. So there's getting the voter files directly from the clerk. In the Democratic Party, in everywhere except for California, they manage and kind of organize using the voter files, the same voter files that come from your clerk. But they organize them through a software program called NGP Van is the name of the company. Vote Builder is the name of the software program. The short word that you will probably hear the Democratic Party using is VAN. So they call it VAN, V-A-N, VAN. And VAN or Vote Builder is really an essential tool for any campaign or party building. What it allows you to do is allows you to generate different kinds of lists. So you can have a list of very strong Democrats who you know that are going to come out to vote. So that can be your list that you generate. So you can then reach out to them and ask them, put them on that ladder of engagement, see if they want to do more than vote. It could be a list of, people that you send a mailer to. Maybe a list, we often get, volunteers often see this because this is the list when you're on a phone bank will come from Vote Builder. Yeah, if you're handed a list of addresses to knock the doors on, that will be a list generated in Vote Builder. So it is a great tool if you can get access to it, or if you can get a list from somebody who has access to this. It does cost if you're running a campaign. It usually, depending on your state, it may cost, and access will come either from your local party, state party. So, but if you can get a hold of it, that would be great. Or if you can ask somebody ask a campaign or a party for that list of voters in your precinct, then yeah, they're probably going to use Vote Builder to generate it. So doing that direct voter contact, we're not going to cover that here today because we got 2 guides out there that will walk you step by step on how to phone bank. So let's say you went to your clerk, you got a list of phone numbers. How then do you start making those, start dialing those people and have effective conversations? Or how to canvass. Let's say you got a list of addresses. Maybe you're working with a campaign. They have access to a tool called Minivan. How to do that? We got videos and stuff. So we got links going into the chat for those. And then if you want more training, if you do get access to Van, I highly recommend the National Democratic Training Committee that I've already spoken to. They have really good training out there on how to use Van. So again, I'm not going to cover it here because NDTC does it for us. All right, we're going to close with how to build a team. So like I said, you know what a local leader is, you know how important it is. You got the tools, all these cool tools at your fingertips to either be organizing relationally, right? The people that you already know, or taking that step further and talking to the strangers in your community, making those strangers friends, right? Now it's a lot of work for one person to do, right? So if you can build a team around you, you can, 1, it'll be fun, much more fun. And 2, you can get a lot more done and make it more sustainable. So how to build a team. First, anytime you are building a team or a group, I highly recommend that you start off by listing the values that are really important to you. I talked right at the very beginning, talked about building bridges. We came out of Pete Buttigieg's campaign, and he had his rules of the road, right? So this foundation just of these things that are very important to us. So respect, belonging, truth, teamwork. These are things that are important to us, and then that we can expect from others who then join our group. Joe Biden had something similar then during his general campaign. He had his Joe's rules. So again, this is just something to kind of center your group around about what was important to all of us, and then also what you can expect from others that then partake in your group. And then make a plan. So be active and really take that knowledge that you got and put it into action. So what are those community events that go on, right? Maybe you can throw an event, right? Have a block party. Let's say you're a block captain. You can make a plan to create that block party, right? Is there a neighborhood group or something that already gets together, or do you want to start one, right? Town halls. Invite candidates to come to your area and speak. Yeah, you're probably not going to get your governor. Maybe you will. That'd be cool. But your local leaders who are really much more, like I said, the ones closer to the ground to making policy decisions that really change and shape your community. You'll probably get some of them to show up. Or like I said, host your own get together and invite invite local leaders, invite those candidates. Let's say somebody ran before against, you know, maybe you have a very conservative person in your local leadership, but there was an awesome person who ran before. They would probably love to come and help others get inspired to run like they did. So again, make a plan on how to have those kind of events, and also make a plan together with either the campaigns that might be running in this 2024 cycle, or the party, right? Make a plan alongside them. So if there's a calendar for a campaign, easy thing to do is take that election day and kind of walk that calendar back, and set up different events that you can have leading up to the election. And, you know, set those goals, work with your campaign to set goals. Like, how, if the campaign wants you to you know, during during that DVC, the direct voter contact portion of the campaign, let's say they want you to knock on 100 doors, right? It's like, let's set that number for them. They say 100 doors, you know, like, you know, I think we can do more than that. I think we can knock 200 doors, right? So work with them. So you're making that plan together. Get that materials from the campaigns. It's a lot easier to knock on the door and have some sort of, they call it literature, have some sort of piece of material that talks about the candidate. And so it's a lot easier to knock on a door when you have materials to offer when someone is interested. And yeah, we'll talk more about, like I said, assigned captains here. We're going to talk more about bringing on different roles. So having a plan, you know, keeps everybody motivated, keeps you all working. You can, and it brings in that, we call it that buy-in from people that might be hesitant to help out, right? They might worry that it wouldn't be a good use of their time. Well, if you have a plan and they can see where it is going, they're much more likely to want to take part. It also increase that voter participation, right? It's just like a lot of Dems, especially in currently red areas, like where I live in Indiana, we feel down. We don't really, you know, feel like there's, you know, you got to give, I always say, you got to give them hope, right? Just, so it gives them hope when they see organizing, when they see something happening. It also makes it a lot more fun when you win. You got a big group of people then you can celebrate that win with. So we only got a couple minutes left. I'm going to skip through these, and I want to talk about those volunteers. That would be great if you can bring on board. So again, if you're for a whole district, maybe break it up, right? Neighborhood captain, block captains, researchers, people that can really then research this information about, you know, what are the services that are available out there? How, you know, like, here, if our road is really bad, is it, you know, really dangerous? Is there a program out there that we can be requesting have speed bumps and other speed mitigations put in? You want to be finding people that can host meetings, host those meetups. People can throw a table out at your local events. So these are all the kind of volunteers that you can be out there looking for. And you can set those expectations. So if somebody is going to volunteer, good thing is to first fill them with that passion that you have, but then also give them a description of that. What are those expectations? What is that role? What are the timelines to getting it done? And then checking in with them. These are ways that can help people feel more secure about taking on a volunteer position, and also help them stay on task and follow it through. So we got a link out there on our team research page to this list of like job descriptions, really, of for volunteers. That helps people with understanding what those expectations are. And finally, I want to talk about ladder of engagement. So you want to set up opportunities that bring people along on their volunteer journey. So if you think about how you first got started, you know, what was your first thing that you did that was beyond voting? Maybe you put a yard sign out in your yard, right? Maybe my first thing, I showed up to a little event, a little get together that a bunch of people were having at a bar. That was my first ever volunteer thing, doing more than voting, was showing up in that bar and meeting a bunch of people. So, it's just like, have those opportunities ready. So the person who organized that meeting at that bar, he created that opportunity for me to join him at an event, right? And that was my first time doing more than voting. Then next, maybe you're asking people, hey, can you write your congresswoman, right? Maybe, can you make sure that everyone is registered to vote? Then maybe, hey, would you want to put a yard sign out? Would you like to write postcards, right? We need, social media is important. Can you create some posts? Can you make a donation? And then you can go up to, hey, I'm doing a phone bank. Do you want to join me? Hey, I'm door knocking. Do you want to walk along with me? Right? So that's that ladder of engagement. You don't want to start off by asking people to go take a list of voters and go take a list of strangers' doors and go knock on them, right? You're getting a lot of people saying no. But if you start them off slow, right? You walk them through that ladder of engagement, then by the time it comes to when that campaign needs canvassers, you're going to be there. They're going to be there for you. All right. So more information, if you want to learn more about how to build your team, we have a whole course on it called Grassroots Organizing for Change. So I highly recommend that you go dive into that. And I just want to close just letting you know, a big part of being an organizer is to be an optimist, to be optimistic. You want to give people hope, so be hopeful. Cheerleader, right? So you want to be out there, get people excited, and be a good representation for, what you want to see out there in the political landscape. So be kind.